No, wait, can you share with us, right? Why is this location fantastic? Other than the fact that, of course, we all know that this is a silicon tech hub. And of course, if we were to look in exact, on the exact locale, this is like interweave, not just within Buona Vista. It's also very near to NUS, NUH. It's also very near to basically HOTLINE V, because
HOTLINE V is on the top.
Yeah, on the top, right? Okay, so share with us like the excitement of this, because just now on top of this green lung that you're talking about, you also shared with me that there's like an enormous amount of residential land, or maybe currently it's called white site now.
All right, so I think first and foremost, the key selling point, of course, for Blossoms by the Park will actually be the close proximity to the train station. So as we all know, that is besides 2 train stations, one of them is actually Buona Vista train station, which is the interchange between the East-West line and the Circle line. And for that particular train station, it's about 4 minutes to 5 minutes walk, 250 to 300 meters away. And if you were to come down south, you will be going towards the One North train station, which is the Circle line. That will actually be a slightly longer walk, about 8 minutes walk. So it's seated between 2 train stations. And for families who are going to move there, if they are concerned about education, then of course they'll be pleased to know that it's within 1 kilometer from Fairfield Primary School, Fairfield Methodist Primary School, and plus the fact, all the schools are there as well, and plus also NUS. So in terms of education, in terms of amenities, transport, I think it ticks all the check boxes for that. But if you look at the whole entire area of One North, we are all talking about One North being an area that has about 50,000 odd workers that's working within the whole One North clusters. And when these workers, when they want to find a place to stay, the number of selection of units there are actually not a lot. So if you add up all the number of units for all the projects around there, it's about 2,000 odd units.
At this point in time.
Yep, at this point in time. Right. And I'm not even counting in Momentum Park, which is on the bottom corner of the One North area. So in terms of demand versus the amount of supply over there, there's definitely a lot. Even for tenants to look for a place to stay within a close proximity to the One North. And now we look at the URA master plan, those areas that are circled out. So these are the areas where there are future growth area. And whenever we look at projects, we are definitely very excited to know that whenever you buy into an area, when there's other growth, it actually meant that there'll be future appreciation. Where Blossoms is actually here. All right, and right at the bottom, there's also a white site that's going to be a reserve site. So likely it might also be another residential that's going to come up. And of course, some of the other white sites that have circled, they are all reserve sites. So likely it may be residential, it may not. We will know, but where I have asterisks on the bottom right of One North, this whole area has already been earmarked as a residential area. Right now, if you look at the street directory map, it's actually full of greens. I would say it's actually some units or residential areas over there, which they may potentially, redevelop into. Yep, correct.
Okay.
Into a residential.
So the government is putting a lot of attention here. And whenever our government is putting attention, that is where they will want to grow and rejuvenate the area. Plus, land plots definitely are not cheap. They will, of course, firstly is to calibrate the height restrictions in terms of plot ratio. So I think based on the amount of white sites here, of course it depends on when they will be launched. But I think based on the news that has been calibrated over the past 2-3 years, it seems that a lot of attention is on One North. To be one of the tech hubs in Singapore. In fact, it's already happening. I mean, you look at all the MNCs and the different types of companies that are already situated right there. So, Grace, because you're very familiar with this area, District 5, RCR, how is it like living in this zoning based on what you have understood?
Okay, so just a backstory, right? So I studied at NUS, so I was living on campus, right? So I also wanted to chime in just now that the rental pool, right, it's not just from the working, population. Likely you will face a lot of tertiary students who want to stay in this area as well, but they cannot get a slot on campus. So just a glimpse of what it's like to get a residential unit on campus. Usually, there's a process of application. Then once you apply, and then you have to fulfill certain commitments. Let's say you are staying in a hall, you have to take a certain amount of CCA points. And then if you're in the residential college, which is also where me and Brian, our insights writer, we were at the college at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, so we were from the same college, Tembusu. Yeah, it's actually
Tembusu. What?
Yeah, so, to get a unit there is, I mean, you have to go through some kind of application process, and not everyone is able to secure. And even if you do, right, it's only 2 out of your 4 years. For halls like Shears, Cambridge, and all that, it's 1 out of 4 years. Throughout, I think towards the end, I actually rented Heritage Park. Yeah, Heritage Park condo. And then further on to the end, I stayed with my auntie who stays in the Dover Crescent area. And then eventually now I'm also renting at Dover Road.
Right.
Yeah, so what it's like to live there.
Yeah, because you have the star, and then of course, this area is convenient, right?
Yes.
And there's also timber as well
okay, living in this area, right, I would say as a young, working professional, or even in your tertiary years, it's definitely fantastic. You are super closely connected to, I think, all that you need. Star Vista is like the huge hub where, you have all your food choices, you have the MRT. The MRT is extremely convenient as well, from Buona Vista down to town. But one thing about this area is that if you were to drive or if you were to take the bus, you are just minutes away from Holland V. And then further down to Holland V is the Orchard, kind of Tanglin area already. So connectivity-wise, extremely convenient. Okay, and then, so let's say at Dover Road, right, if you were to just look at the amount of tertiary students, there's ACSI, ACJC, all of this, of course, there's a lot of young energy in the area. So if you take public transport, sometimes you need to squeeze with all these.
SP is there.
Yes, SP is there.
United
And
World
then
College.
some of the asset business school further down. Yeah, INSEAD as well.
Right.
And then they have I think the Dover International Court School. Yeah, so, and then further down is NUS, NUH already. So I would say a lot of young energy, a lot of, this kind of hub for learning and all that in this area.
Right.
Okay, for example, if you are looking to start a family, you are looking for like something more quieter, I would say that the heartbeat of this area might be a little bit, more intense than let's say if you are looking for something a bit slower pace. Yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, and also because let's say if we were to look at the site plan, right, the project is in quite close proximity to the MRT, of course, but also to some of the periphery projects. Yeah, which means that it's really very lively and happening. Yeah, but if you're looking for those kind of like exclusive enclave and all that, this might not be it lah.
Sure. Interesting observation. So while you're saying that, I had two recollection. Number one is that this cluster here, which is the Ghim Moh Dover cluster, in recent years we noticed that, of course, we sold a couple of units right there because firstly we sold a couple of $1 million properties right here at Ghim Moh H, also Ghim Moh Valley. Then, I mean, some might not hit $1 million, maybe 900,000 for the properties there. But we also noticed that there's like upcoming rejuvenation, because if you notice, there's like HDB clusters that's popping out. This will TOP 2024, which in another 5 years, 2029, you hit is MOP. Then there's also 2 new plots. It seems that the government is also trying to put attention to develop some of the brand new HDBs here. And of course, whatever HDBs that was developed here, eventually these are all potentially going to be hitting $1 million, right? Secondly, while you're sharing that, I remember when we were filming this.
Okay, wait, but I just chime in about the HDB part, right?
Yes.
So this HDB cluster, right? Okay, usually when we look at HDB, a lot of new HDB clusters, we see them as potential upgraders. But in this instance, I do not think that this HDB cluster will actually form your eventual buyers when you do want to exit. I think that when you want to exit, these HDB buyers will actually be looking at something a little bit more spacious, not really the two-bedder kind of mix. You will eventually be selling to kind of your new
bachelors, professionals.
Yes, new kind of bachelors.
Unless you go for, I mean, even like the dual keys, I think dual keys, usually families that wants to buy, although I have some clients that live in dual keys, like they will stay in the 2-bedder, they will rent out the 1-bedder. Some actually, they buy the whole thing, they will knock down, they will stay. Then sometimes when they want to rent out, they will just put back the wall and stuff. But I think if really people do want to live here, a new point of view is that while I was filming this, so before going, actually I thought that, I mean last time, I have clients staying in Rochester Residences, One North, but I didn't really like walk the ground. But when I was filming this, I was very surprised that we filmed this actually from morning till night. we reached there at about 11. I finished at about 7 because I have to film the whole building. But when I was there, the only time I see human beings was when they were going home. Is that so surprisingly, although the entire vibe is like Fusionopolis and all that, it's like very heavy, right? But when I was there, the surprising thing is that because JTC did it so well, there are so many greens there, it actually feels very relaxed. So if you all have time, do go down, walk one north, because you'll be very surprised. Only at about 6 to 7, while I was filming the opening scene, right? So this is my opening scene. Then there were a lot of people at the MRT station. This is my opening scene. But other than that, actually, there was a lack of human beings there. I think they were all in the office, or maybe they were working from... only here. The MRT station is here, one north. There were a lot of human beings. But other than that, actually, when we were like walking around the building outside, it was quite nice to go into. So maybe we need like an exploration day to go to one off.
One thing about this one-off area is also it's like a... There's a lot of amenities in terms of like lifestyle and wellness. So there's like, you know, all the different kinds of gyms and like the area. So at like 7 a.m.-ish, all the gym goers will like gather. Then after everybody will shower. Then by 8+, everyone will disperse, go off. It's like Shopee is nearby also. And then some of the big hubs, Razer as well. So lots of my friends were working in these areas. They may not live there, but they come here for their morning workout and then they work nearby. And then at the end of the day, they may come back for a second workout or hang out and then just go home to the OCR regions after that.
Yeah. Great. And I think coming from like a price point of view back again, right, is that I think in totality, this will definitely attract a lot of buyers that wants to buy to rent out, because the rental demand is definitely strong there. You look at the performance at one-off residences, and of course, even Rochester, the big units, the rental take-up rate month-on-month basis is very strong. If this quantum is priced correctly, then I think the take-up rate will definitely be high, because this seems to me like a very nice quantum play.
Mission control, we have liftoff.